Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Emma's Talk.
Hello, everybody. So happy you're here.
Harry, let me ask you something. Do you like disagreeing with people?
Honestly, not really. Sometimes I'm afraid of sounding rude.
See, everyone? Harry just said something so many of us feel. We are afraid to disagree because we don't want to sound rude or start a fight.
Yes, especially in English when it's not our first language. We think, how do I say this politely? I don't want to sound aggressive.
But here is the truth, and I want you to remember this from the very beginning of this video. Disagreeing is normal. Being rude is not necessary.
Let's repeat that important sentence, everyone. Disagreeing is normal. Being rude is not necessary.
Disagreeing is normal. Being rude is not necessary.
Today, we are going to learn exactly how to do this, how to share your opinion, how to disagree politely, how to defend your ideas calmly, confidently, and respectfully.
Yes, this is such a useful skill, not just for English, but for life. At work, with friends, with family, we need to disagree sometimes, and we need to do it well.
Think about it. Every single day, we have small moments where our opinion is different from someone else's. A friend picks a restaurant you don't love. A coworker suggests an idea you're not sure about. A family member shares a view you don't quite share.
Exactly. These moments happen constantly in every relationship, in every culture, in every language.
And how we handle these small moments again and again actually shapes how strong and how healthy our relationships become over time.
Beautifully said, Harry. That's exactly why this topic deserves a full, deep lesson today, not just a short list of phrases.
And don't worry, everyone. Today's English is clear and slow, perfect for B1 and B2 learners, but even beginners will learn so much too.
This video is long today because this topic has so many useful phrases, so many real examples. So get comfortable, grab a notebook if you can, and let's start.
Let's start.
Okay, before we learn how to disagree, we first need to learn how to give our opinion clearly.
That's true. You need your own idea first, before you can agree or disagree with someone else's idea.
Exactly. So, let's learn some simple phrases for sharing an opinion. The most common one is, I think.
Yes, I think is probably the most useful phrase in the entire English language.
Maybe. Let's repeat it. I think.
I think.
Another one, I believe. For example, I believe honesty is always the best choice.
I believe.
In my opinion. For example, in my opinion, this movie was the best of the year.
In my opinion.
Personally, I think. For example, personally, I think mornings are the best time to work.
Personally, I think.
From my point of view, for example, from my point of view, patience is a very important skill.
From my point of view.
As far as I'm concerned, for example, as far as I'm concerned, the meeting went very well.
As far as I'm concerned.
The way I see it, for example, the way I see it, we still have plenty of time.
The way I see it.
I feel that, for example, I feel that this decision needs more time.
I feel that.
And finally, I would say that. For example, I would say that practice is more important than talent.
I would say that.
Wonderful. Now, Harry, I have a question for you. What's the difference between I think and in my opinion?
Good question. Honestly, they mean almost the same thing. But in my opinion sounds a little more formal, a little more serious.
Yes, exactly. I think is more casual, more common in everyday conversation with friends.
And in my opinion is great for more formal situations, like a meeting at work or a debate.
Perfect explanation. So both are correct, but choose based on the situation.
Let's do a quick example. Emma, what do you think about working from home?
In my opinion, working from home gives people more freedom and less stress.
Great example. You see, everyone? It's simple. Just choose your phrase and add your idea after it.
Okay, now, before we learn to disagree, let's also learn how to agree. Because in a real conversation, we agree much more often than we disagree.
True, and there are so many nice ways to agree in English.
Let's start with the strongest one. I completely agree.
I completely agree.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's true.
That's true.
You're right.
You're right.
I couldn't agree more.
I couldn't agree more.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
I feel the same way.
I feel the same way.
And finally, I agree with you on that.
I agree with you on that.
Wonderful. Now, notice something important. Some of these are very strong, like I couldn't agree more. And some are a little softer, like that's a good point. which agrees but also leaves a little room for more discussion.
Yes, good observation. English has many small levels of agreement, not just yes or no.
Exactly. And this is very similar to how disagreement works too, which is what we will learn very soon. Okay, everyone, here it is, probably the most important part of today's video.
Yes, this is the heart of today's topic.
So imagine someone says something and you don't agree. What is the wrong way to respond?
The wrong way is something like, you're wrong.
Yes, very direct, very cold, and honestly a little rude, even if you don't mean it that way.
So what can we say instead?
We can say, I'm not sure I agree.
I'm not sure I agree.
Or, I see your point, but...
I see your point, but...
Or, I understand what you mean, however...
I understand what you mean, however...
Or, that's an interesting point, but I see it differently.
That's an interesting point, but I see it differently.
Or, I agree up to a point, but...
I agree up to a point, but...
And finally, I'm not completely convinced.
I'm not completely convinced.
Now, let's do a comparison so you can really hear the difference. Harry, say the rude version.
You're wrong.
And now, the polite version.
I see what you mean, but I have a slightly different perspective.
Do you hear the difference, everyone? Both sentences disagree, but one sounds cold and the other sounds respectful and open.
Let's repeat this important idea. Same meaning, different tone.
Same meaning, different tone.
And this small change in tone can completely change how a conversation feels and how the other person reacts to you.
Absolutely. People listen more and feel more comfortable when you disagree softly and respectfully. Okay, now let's talk about some very useful connecting words. These words help us build stronger, smoother sentences when we disagree.
Yes, let's start with the simplest one, but.
But is short and very common. For example, I understand your point, but I see it differently.
Let's repeat that full sentence, everyone. I understand your point, but I see it differently.
I understand your point, but I see it differently.
Next, a slightly more formal word, however.
However often starts a new sentence. For example, I understand your point. However, I don't completely agree.
Let's repeat. I understand your point. However, I don't completely agree.
I understand your point. However, I don't completely agree.
Next, although.
Although usually comes at the beginning of a sentence. For example, although I understand your argument, I think there is another side to the issue.
Let's repeat. Although I understand your argument, I think there is another side to the issue.
Although I understand your argument, I think there is another side to the issue.
Next, on the other hand.
This phrase is great for showing a different perspective. For example, I understand your point. On the other hand, we also need to consider the cost.
Let's repeat. I understand your point. On the other hand, we also need to consider the cost.
I understand your point. On the other hand, we also need to consider the cost.
Next, at the same time.
This is a softer way to add a different idea. For example, I agree with you. At the same time, I think there's more to consider.
I agree with you. At the same time, I think there's more to consider.
And finally, while.
While is similar to although. For example, while I agree that money is important, I don't think it's everything.
Let's repeat that beautiful sentence. While I agree that money is important, I don't think it's everything.
Wonderful, everyone. These 6 small words, but, however, although, on the other hand, at the same time, and while, can completely transform how smooth and how natural your English sounds. Yes, try to use just one of these this week, in a real conversation, or even just in your own thoughts.
Okay, now, once you share your opinion, sometimes you need to explain it more to defend it calmly.
Yes, this is how we build a real argument, a real discussion, not just one short sentence.
Let's learn some useful phrases. Let me explain why I think that.
Let me explain why I think that.
The reason I say this is.
The reason I say this is.
My main point is.
My main point is.
What I mean is.
What I mean is.
Let me give you an example.
Let me give you an example.
Here's why I think that.
Here's why I think that.
I have 2 reasons for saying that.
I have 2 reasons for saying that.
From my experience.
From my experience.
In my experience.
In my experience.
One important point is.
One important point is.
And finally, we also need to consider.
We also need to consider.
Great. Now, let's put a few of these together in a real example. Harry, imagine I say, I think reading books is better than watching videos. Defend a different opinion using these phrases.
Okay, let me explain why I think that. From my experience, videos can teach us just as much as books, especially visual topics like cooking or sports. My main point is the best method depends on the topic, not the format itself.
Wonderful example, Harry. See, everyone? You just used real, natural, structured English to explain a full opinion.
And this is exactly the skill we want to build together today.
Let's try one more, quickly. Harry, imagine I say, I think it's better to save money than to spend it on experiences like travel. Defend the opposite opinion.
Sure, here's why I think that. In my experience, memories and experiences often bring more long-term happiness than material things or even savings. One important point is we can always earn more money, but time and certain experiences don't come back.
Beautifully argued, Harry. That's such a thoughtful, well-structured opinion.
Thank you. And notice, I used 3 different phrases from today's lesson, all in just a few sentences.
Okay, now what happens when someone challenges your opinion? What do you say?
Good question. Let's imagine the small example. I say, I don't think that's true.
And you can respond calmly. Really? Why do you think that?
Let's repeat. Really? Why do you think that?
Really? Why do you think that?
More useful phrases. Why do you say that?
Why do you say that?
What makes you think that?
What makes you think that?
Could you explain what you mean?
Could you explain what you mean?
Can you give me an example?
Can you give me an example?
That's interesting. Tell me more.
That's interesting. Tell me more.
I hadn't considered that.
I hadn't considered that.
And finally, that's a fair point.
That's a fair point.
These phrases are amazing because they keep the conversation going, calmly, with curiosity, instead of stopping the conversation with anger.
Yes, let's repeat this key idea. Ask questions, don't attack.
Ask questions, don't attack.
When someone challenges your opinion and you respond with a calm question, the whole conversation stays friendly, even respectful, even when you don't agree at all.
Let's try a short example, putting several of these phrases together. Emma, challenge one of my opinions.
Okay, Harry, I don't think that's true. I don't think remote work is more productive than working in an office.
Really? Why do you think that? I've read several studies showing the opposite, actually.
That's interesting. Tell me more. What did those studies say exactly?
They found that many employees complete more tasks at home with fewer interruptions from coworkers.
I hadn't considered that. That's a fair point. Maybe it really does depend on the type of job and the person.
Great example, everyone. Notice the whole exchange stayed calm, curious, and respectful from beginning to end.
Okay, everyone, quick question. Are you learning a lot of new useful phrases today?
If yes, please give us a like. It really helps our channel, Emma's Talk, grow and reach more learners just like you.
Yes, and if this is your first time watching, please subscribe. We make videos every week full of real, practical English for real conversations.
Slow English, simple English, natural conversations just like this one.
So click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our new episodes.
And now, let's continue. We still have so many useful phrases and some fun examples coming up.
Yes, let's continue. Okay, now let's build something really useful. A scale from very direct to very diplomatic.
Ooh, I like this idea, like a ladder of politeness.
Exactly. Let's start at the top. Very direct. You're wrong.
Very strong. A little too strong for most situations.
Next, direct, but a little softer. I disagree.
Still clear, still honest, but simpler and less aggressive than you're wrong.
Next, polite. I'm not sure I agree.
This one leaves room for discussion. It sounds thoughtful, not angry.
Next, very polite. I see your point, but I have a different perspective.
This shows respect for the other person's idea before sharing your own.
And finally, the most diplomatic. I understand where you're coming from. At the same time, I think there may be another way of looking at it.
Wow, that's such a gentle, thoughtful sentence. Perfect for very sensitive topics or very sensitive people.
Let's repeat this whole scale together, everyone. From strong to gentle. You're wrong.
I disagree.
I'm not sure I agree.
I see your point, but personally, I love the sweet and salty combination.
I understand not everyone enjoys that combination. At the same time, for me, it's actually one of my favorite pizza toppings.
Even with something as small and fun as pizza, we can use this whole scale from strong to gentle.
Exactly. And this shows this skill works for serious topics and also for fun everyday conversations, like arguing about pizza toppings.
Okay, now let's practice everything we learned with some real-life situations. I will share an opinion, and Harry will disagree, politely, using our new phrases.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Situation 1. Friends and social media. I think social media is bad for us.
I see your point, but I think it depends on how we use it. Social media can also help us stay connected with family far away.
That's a fair point, Harry. I hadn't thought about that side of it.
Great example, everyone. Notice, no fighting, just a calm exchange of ideas.
Situation 2. Money. I think having a lot of money makes people happier.
I'm not sure I completely agree. In my experience, money helps with stress, but happiness often comes from relationships and health too.
That's true. I agree up to a point, but I still think money gives us more freedom, and freedom brings happiness.
Interesting. We can both be a little right, actually.
Situation 3, work. I think working from home is better than working in an office.
I see it differently. I think an office helps people focus and also helps with teamwork and friendships at work.
That's a good point, although I still believe working from home saves time, especially without a long commute.
Fair enough. Both have real advantages, I think.
Situation 4, travel. I think traveling alone is boring.
I have a different opinion, actually. From my experience, traveling alone helps you meet new people more easily because you're more open to conversations.
That's an interesting perspective. I hadn't considered that.
Situation 5, education. I think university is necessary for success.
I'm not completely convinced. Many successful people learned practical skills instead without a university degree.
That's true, but I still think university gives people useful knowledge and important connections too.
I agree with that actually, up to a point.
Situation 6, relationships and phones. I think people spend too much time on their phones.
I completely agree with that one actually. No disagreement here.
Good, we agree on something. Sometimes that happens too.
Situation 7, lifestyle. I think living in a big city is better than living in a small town.
I see your point, but personally, I prefer a quiet, small town. There's less stress and life feels slower, calmer.
I understand where you're coming from. At the same time, I love the energy and the opportunities in a big city.
Situation 8, food. I think cooking at home is always healthier than eating at restaurants.
I'm not completely convinced. Many restaurants today offer healthy options too. I think it depends more on what you choose, not where you eat.
That's a fair point, actually, although I still believe cooking at home gives you more control over the ingredients.
True, that's a real advantage. I agree with you, up to a point.
Situation 9, technology. I think children should not use smartphones until they are teenagers.
I see your point, but I think it also depends on how parents guide their children. Technology, used carefully, can also be educational.
That's an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about the educational side quite that way.
Situation 10, exercise. I think going to the gym is the best way to stay fit.
I have a slightly different opinion. Personally, I think outdoor activities like running or cycling are just as effective and more enjoyable for many people.
That's true, and I respect that. I still prefer the gym though, especially in winter.
Fair enough. Different strokes for different folks, as we say in English.
And there we go. 10 real conversations using so many of today's new phrases.
Amazing practice, everyone. Notice how natural and how calm every single conversation felt.
Okay, now let's talk about the phrases we should avoid because they can sound rude, even if we don't mean them that way.
Yes, this is important. Let's go through them.
Avoid, you're wrong.
Avoid, that's stupid.
Avoid, that's ridiculous.
Avoid, you don't understand.
Avoid, no, that's not true.
These phrases can hurt feelings and often stop a conversation completely instead of continuing it.
Now, let's transform them into softer, more respectful alternatives.
Instead of "you're wrong," say "I don't think that's quite right."
Instead of "that's ridiculous," say "I'm not sure that's always the case."
Instead of "you don't understand," say "I see it differently."
Instead of "no, that's not true," say "I'm not convinced by that argument."
And finally, instead of just a cold "no," say "I understand your point, but I disagree."
Let's repeat this transformation idea. Same disagreement, kinder words.
Same disagreement, kinder words.
This is such a small change, but it makes such a huge difference in every conversation, in every language actually, not only in English. Okay, now let's talk about something really important. The difference between disagreeing with an idea and attacking a person.
Yes, this is such a valuable lesson for English and for life in general.
Listen to this sentence. I disagree with you.
This sentence disagrees with the idea, calmly, respectfully.
Now listen to this one. You're stupid.
This sentence attacks the person, not the idea. And this is where real fights, real arguments actually begin.
Exactly. Let's repeat this key idea. Disagree with the idea, not the person.
Disagree with the idea, not the person.
This simple idea can change how you communicate forever in any language with any person.
True. Even when we feel strongly about something, we can still stay calm and respectful toward the other person.
Yes, you can say, I think your idea has some problems, instead of, you always have bad ideas.
One is about the idea. The other is a judgment on the whole person, which usually isn't fair or true.
Beautifully explained, Harry. This is real emotional intelligence expressed through simple English. Okay, let's build our vocabulary now with some important, useful words connected to today's topic. This will help you sound even more natural and confident when you share or defend an opinion in English.
Great idea. Let's go through them together, slowly, one at a time.
Opinion. This means what you personally think about something. Example, everyone has the right to their own opinion.
Point of view. This means the way you see or understand a situation. Example, from my point of view, honesty is the most important quality in a friend.
Perspective. Very similar to point of view, another way of seeing something. Example, traveling gave me a new perspective on life.
Argument. This means the reasons you give to support your opinion. Example, she made a strong argument for working from home.
Reason. This means why you believe something. Example, the main reason I disagree is the cost.
Evidence. This means facts or proof that support your opinion. Example, do you have any evidence to support that claim?
Example, a specific case that helps explain your idea. Example, can you give me an example of what you mean?
Point. A specific idea inside a bigger argument. Example, that's a really good point.
Idea, a general thought or opinion. Example, I have an idea, but I'm not sure if it's a good one.
Position. Where you stand on a certain topic or question. Example, what's your position on this issue?
Claim, a statement that you believe is true. Example, that's a big claim. Can you prove it?
Explain. To make something clear and easy to understand. Example, could you explain what you mean by that?
Suggest, to offer an idea gently as a possibility. I would suggest thinking about it a little more.
Agree. To have the same opinion as someone else. Example, I agree with almost everything you said.
Disagree, to have a different opinion than someone else. I'm afraid I have to disagree, respectfully.
Support. To agree with and defend an idea. Example, I fully support your decision.
Challenge, to question or test someone's idea. I'd like to challenge that idea a little.
Convince. To make someone believe or agree with your idea. Example, you almost convinced me.
Discuss, to talk about a topic together, sharing ideas. Let's discuss this calmly.
And finally, debate. A more formal discussion, often with two different sides. Example, we had a friendly debate about the best travel destination.
Wonderful! 20 new, powerful words, all connected to opinions and discussions, each one with a real example sentence.
Try to use 2 or 3 of these words today, in a real sentence, or even just in your own thoughts in English.
Remember, as always, use it or lose it. Okay, everyone, now for something really fun. A real debate between Emma and Harry using everything we learned today.
Yes, I'm ready. What's our topic?
Our topic is social media good or bad for us? I will take one side and Harry will take the other.
Perfect. Let's begin. Emma, what's your position?
In my opinion, social media is mostly bad for us. It takes too much of our time and it can make people feel worse about their own lives through comparison.
I see your point, but I have a different perspective. Social media also helps us stay connected with family and friends, especially people who live far away.
That's a fair point. However, I still think the negative effects, like stress and comparison, are stronger for many people.
I'm not completely convinced. From my experience, social media also helps small businesses grow and helps people learn new skills through videos and tutorials.
That's true, actually. I hadn't considered the business side of it, although I still worry about how much time young people spend on it every single day.
That's a fair concern. At the same time, I think the answer is balance, not avoiding it completely.
I agree with that, up to a point. Balance is probably the healthiest answer for most people.
So in the end, maybe we both agree a little bit on this final point.
Yes, it seems like it. Let's add one more round, though, before we finish this debate.
Sure. Emma, what about the effect on mental health, especially for young people who often compare themselves to others online?
That's actually my strongest argument. I believe social media, especially for teenagers, can create a lot of pressure to look perfect, to have a perfect life, and that pressure can seriously affect mental health, sometimes for years.
I understand your concern, and honestly, I agree with that part completely. However, I still think the solution is education, teaching young people how to use it wisely, not removing it completely.
That's a fair point. I agree up to a point. Maybe education really is a better long-term solution than avoidance.
So it seems, once again, we found some common ground, even with a topic where opinions can be very strong.
See, everyone? A real debate with strong opinions, but still respectful, calm, and even a little bit friendly until the very end.
This is exactly what today's lesson is truly about.
Okay, now let's slow down and practice some key sentences together, very carefully.
Yes, listen first, then repeat with us, out loud if you can.
I see your point, but I think you're missing something.
I see your point, but I think you're missing something.
One more time, everyone, slowly. I see your point, but I think you're missing something.
I see your point, but I think you're missing something.
Great job. Let's try another one. I understand your point. However, I don't completely agree.
I understand your point. However, I don't completely agree.
Perfect. One more. I agree up to a point, but I still think there's more to consider.
I agree up to a point, but I still think there's more to consider.
Wonderful. And finally, that's a fair point. I hadn't thought about it that way.
That's a fair point. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Amazing work, everyone. Try saying these sentences again tomorrow, even without this video playing. Maybe even in the mirror, out loud, with confidence. This is how they become truly natural for you.
Little by little, every day, as we always say here on Emma's Talk.
Okay, let's play a quick game before we continue. I will say a sentence, and you guess, is it very direct, polite, or very diplomatic?
Ooh, I love games. Let's start. I'm ready to guess too.
Sentence 1. That's not true.
I would say that's fairly direct. Not extremely rude, but quite strong.
Correct, direct, and a little too strong for many situations.
Sentence 2. I understand your point, but I have a slightly different opinion.
That one feels very polite to me, respectful and gentle.
Exactly right. A great example of polite disagreement.
Sentence 3. I hear what you're saying, and I think there might be another way to look at this too.
That sounds very diplomatic. Gentle, thoughtful, almost like a bridge between two ideas.
Perfect answer, Harry. Very diplomatic indeed.
Sentence 4. You're missing the point completely.
Oof, that one sounds quite strong. Maybe even a little rude, honestly.
Yes, exactly. Very direct and probably best avoided in most polite conversations.
Great job, everyone, playing along with us. This little game shows how much you already understand about tone and politeness in English.
Understanding tone is just as important as understanding grammar, sometimes even more important.
Okay, everyone, let's pause for a moment of speaking practice, just for you.
Yes, think about this question and try to answer out loud in English.
Question. Think about a topic where you strongly disagree with someone close to you. What is the topic, and how do you usually express your disagreement?
Take a moment. Try to build a full sentence using one of today's new phrases.
For example, you could say, I disagree with my brother about politics, but I try to say, I see your point, but I see it differently.
Second question. Think about a time you disagreed with someone and it turned into an argument. Looking back, what could you have said differently?
Try to say, instead of saying, I could have said.
Third question. Who do you know who is really good at disagreeing politely? What do they usually say?
Try to say, Mai is really good at this. They usually say,
Wonderful practice, everyone. This is exactly how real fluency grows, little sentence by little sentence.
Okay, let's do one more fun, interactive activity. I will describe a situation, and you think about what you would say using today's phrases.
Great idea. Let's begin.
Situation 1. Your coworker says, I think meetings are always a waste of time. You disagree. A little. What do you say?
You could say, I see your point, but I think some meetings are actually really useful, especially for solving problems together.
Perfect example. Situation 2. A friend says, I think it's better to be alone than to be in a relationship. You disagree completely. What do you say?
You could say, I understand where you're coming from, but personally, I feel much happier when I share my life with someone.
Beautiful, respectful disagreement. Situation 3. Someone online writes something you strongly disagree with. What is a calm, respectful response?
You could write, that's an interesting perspective, but I see things quite differently for these reasons.
Excellent.
Notice, even online where people often forget politeness completely, these same gentle phrases still work beautifully.
Yes, politeness matters everywhere, in person and online too.
Okay, before we move to our summary, let's talk about a few common mistakes learners make when disagreeing in English.
Yes, this is so helpful because many learners translate directly from their own language, and it can sound stronger than they intend.
Exactly. Mistake number 1, saying no too quickly and too directly at the start of a sentence.
For example, no, I don't think so. In many languages, this is completely normal and not rude at all.
True, but in English, starting with a strong no can sound a little cold or abrupt, especially with people you don't know well.
So what's a better way?
Instead of no, I don't think so, try I'm not sure about that, or I see it a little differently.
Let's repeat. Soften your no with a gentle phrase first.
Soften your no with a gentle phrase first.
Mistake number 2, forgetting to acknowledge the other person's idea before disagreeing.
Yes, this is so important. Always try to show that you heard them first. I see what you mean, or that's an interesting point, before you share your different opinion.
This small step makes such a big difference in how your disagreement feels to the other person.
Mistake number 3, using very strong words like always or never or completely wrong when a softer word would work better.
For example, instead of that's completely wrong, you could say, I'm not sure that's always true.
Let's repeat. Choose softer words for a softer conversation.
Choose softer words for a softer conversation.
And mistake number 4, raising your voice or speaking too fast when you feel strongly about something.
True. Even with perfect words, if your tone feels aggressive, the whole message can feel unfriendly.
So remember, everyone, it's not only about which words you choose, but also about how calmly and how kindly you say them.
Words and tone, working together for respectful, effective communication.
And one final small tip here. A gentle smile, even during a disagreement, can soften your words even more, whether you're speaking in person or even through a video call.
That's such a simple but powerful tip. Body language matters just as much as vocabulary sometimes.
Exactly. So tone, words, and even your face all work together to create a truly respectful conversation. Okay, let's finish with a short story. Great practice for your listening skills.
Yes, listen carefully, everyone.
There was a young man named Leo. Leo was very smart and had strong opinions about almost everything.
Sounds like someone with a lot of confidence.
Yes, but there was a problem. Whenever someone disagreed with him, Leo would say things like, "That's wrong," or "You don't understand." And people started avoiding conversations with him.
Oh no, that's sad. He probably didn't mean to sound unkind.
Exactly. He didn't mean to. He just didn't know a softer way to express his ideas. One day, at work, his manager gently told him, "Leo, your ideas are great, but sometimes your words sound harsh."
That must have been difficult to hear.
It was, at first. But Leo decided to learn. He started studying phrases just like the ones we learn today. I see your point, but I understand what you mean. However, that's an interesting perspective.
Just like our lesson today.
Exactly. He practiced these phrases little by little every day in real conversations at work and with friends.
And what happened after some time?
Slowly, people started listening to him more. His ideas were still strong, still confident, but now people felt respected instead of attacked during their conversations.
What a wonderful transformation. Same intelligence, same strong opinions, but a completely different way of sharing them.
Yes, and today, Leo often says, "I didn't change my opinions. I just changed how I shared them."
Let's repeat that beautiful final idea. Change how you say it, not who you are.
Change how you say it, not who you are. Before we move to our final summary, I want to say one more important thing.
Yes, go ahead, Emma.
Everything we learn today isn't only useful for English exams or for solving fluent. It's a real life skill.
That's so true. At work, disagreeing politely can help you share ideas without creating tension with your colleagues.
With family, it can help you express your feelings without starting unnecessary arguments.
And with friends, it can actually make your friendship stronger because you can be honest while still being kind.
Let's repeat this final important idea. Polite disagreement builds stronger relationships.
Polite disagreement builds stronger relationships.
So this lesson isn't only about grammar and vocabulary. It's really about becoming a better communicator in any language, in any part of your life.
And that, honestly, is one of the most valuable things learning English can give you.
Okay, everyone, let's review everything we learned today. This is such a rich, useful lesson.
Yes, repetition helps us remember always.
We learned how to give our opinion using phrases like, I think, in my opinion, and from my point of view.
We learned how to agree with phrases like, I completely agree, and that's a good point.
We learned soft disagreement with phrases like, I see your point, but, and I'm not completely convinced.
We learned linking words, but, however, although, on the other hand, at the same time, and while.
We learned how to defend our opinion with phrases like, let me explain why I think that, and from my experience.
We learned how to respond calmly when someone challenges us with questions like, why do you think that? And can you give me an example?
We learned a whole scale from very direct to very diplomatic disagreement, and we even practiced it with a fun example about pineapple on pizza.
We practiced 10 real-life situations and learned what not to say, along with kinder alternatives.
We learned the golden rule. Disagree with the idea, not the person.
We talked about common mistakes non-native speakers make and how tone and even a gentle smile can soften our words.
We heard the story of Leo, who learned to share his strong opinions in a kinder, more respectful way.
We built a whole new vocabulary around opinions, arguments, and discussions, with real example sentences for each word.
And we even had our own real debate about social media right here on this channel.
Wow, we truly covered an incredible amount today, from opinions to agreement to soft disagreement, linking words, defending ideas, and even a real debate. Great job, everyone, for staying with us all the way here.
I'm very proud of you. This is a real, powerful life skill, not only an English skill, and it's one you will use again and again for the rest of your life.
Let's repeat one final time. Disagreeing is normal. Being rude is not necessary.
Disagreeing is normal. Being rude is not necessary. Okay, before we finish, I have a challenge for you.
Ooh, I love a good challenge. What is it, Emma?
I want you to disagree with me. Here's my opinion. I think everyone should live in a big city.
Strong opinion. Do you agree or disagree, everyone watching?
Tell us in the comments in English using one of today's phrases. For example, I don't completely agree because, or I see your point, but I prefer.
Yes, this is your chance to truly practice everything from today's video in a real, safe, friendly space.
This channel is a safe, friendly place to practice, without judgment, without pressure. We truly love reading your comments and your opinions from every country, every culture.
And remember, disagreeing with us kindly is wonderful practice, and we will never be upset about it. I promise.
Exactly. In fact, we would love it.
Also, if you know someone who sometimes struggles with this, maybe a friend who gets a little too heated during discussions, share this video with them too.
Gently, of course, not in a rude way.
Of course, always politely, using today's phrases.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who loves a good, friendly discussion. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, all the way to the end of this long, rich, and hopefully very useful lesson.
Keep practicing, keep sharing your opinions bravely, and keep disagreeing politely, of course, and always with kindness.
Little by little, every day.
See you in the next video, right here on Emma's Talk.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
And remember, wherever you are in the world, whatever language you grew up speaking, you now have real, practical tools to share your opinion and disagree with confidence and kindness.
These phrases will serve you at work, with friends, with family, and in every conversation where your voice deserves to be heard, calmly and clearly.
Little by little, every day.
That's how real fluency and real confidence are built. See you very soon, right here on Emma's Talk.